The corner where you watched this place through binoculars on Tuesday afternoon around 3 p.m. Sal's hand moved instinctively toward his own gun. You think, Bumpy continued, that you can move through my neighborhood without me knowing. You think you can breathe my air, walk my streets, plan my death in my city, and I wouldn't know about it before you even unpacked your bags. Dominic pressed the gun harder against Bumpy's skull. Doesn't matter what you know, you're still gonna die today. Bumpy opened his eyes, looked at Dominic in the mirror. The young killer saw something in those eyes that made his finger freeze on the trigger. Not fear, not surrender, something else. Something that felt like looking into a grave and seeing your own name on the headstone. Son, Bumpy said quietly, I've had guns pointed at me by better men than you. Professional killers. Men who did this for decades. Men who had more experience in their trigger finger than you've got in your entire body. You know where all those better men are now? Silence. They're in the ground. All of them. Every single one. And you want to join them? You really want to be another body in another cemetery that nobody remembers? Bumpy's voice dropped to barely a whisper. Then pull that trigger. But understand something first. The moment you do, you stop being a man who might walk out of here. You become a problem that needs solving. And I'm very good at solving problems. For a long moment, nobody moved. The clock ticked. Steam rose from the hot towel. The gun pressed against Bumpy's head. 3 killers with every advantage. 1 man in a chair who somehow still controlled the room. Then Bumpy spoke again. 3 words. Calm as Sunday morning. Soft as a prayer. Deadly as cancer. Closer, Willie.
Willie Thompson dropped like a stone. 62 years old, and he hit that floor faster than men half his age. The hot towel fell from Bumpy's face. The barber's cape billowed. And in one motion, one smooth, practiced, impossibly fast motion, Bumpy's hand shot under the chair, ripped the .32 revolver from the electrical tape, and fired. The first shot caught Dominic Carbone's center mass. The .32 might be small, but at 2 feet it punched through his chest like a railroad spike. The expression on his face changed from triumph to confusion to nothing in less than a second. His .45 dropped from his fingers. His knees buckled. He stumbled backward into a chair, knocked it over, went down hard. Marco Carbone by the window finally processed what was happening. His hand went for his weapon, training kicking in, survival instinct. But Bumpy was already spinning in the barber chair, already aiming, already firing. The second shot took Marco in the shoulder, spun him around. He crashed through the back door into the alley. The door slammed open, wood splintering, Marco screaming, blood spraying. Sal Carbone, frozen by the front door for 2 full seconds, finally drew his gun. His hands were shaking, the plan falling apart, the impossible happening. Bumpy Johnson was supposed to be helpless, supposed to be trapped, supposed to be dead. Before Sal could aim, the front window exploded inward, glass everywhere. 2 shotguns from across the street, Raymond and Curtis, Bumpy's men who'd been watching and waiting, the message clear as daylight. Sal dropped his weapon, raised his hands, survival instinct overriding everything else. The room filled with gun smoke, the smell of cordite, the ringing in everyone's ears from gunshots in an enclosed space. From first shot to last, 47 seconds. Marcus Freeman and Raymond Tucker were on the floor, hands over their heads, praying in whispers. Willie Thompson stayed down, perfectly still, trusting that Bumpy had meant what he said.
Dominic Carbone lay in a spreading pool of blood, making wet gurgling sounds that got quieter and quieter until they stopped completely. Marco Carbone was somewhere in the alley, screaming for help that wasn't coming. And Sal Carbone stood shaking by the door, hands raised, watching his whole life end. Bumpy Johnson stood up slowly, removed the barber's cape, straightened his shirt, walked calmly toward Sal, who was crying now, actually crying, tears streaming down his face. All that confidence, all that professionalism, all that killer instinct, gone, replaced by the primal terror of a man who'd just realized he'd walked into his own execution. Bumpy stopped 2 feet away, close enough that Sal could smell the shaving cream still on his face, close enough to see that Bumpy wasn't even breathing hard. "I want you to understand something," Bumpy said, his voice barely above a whisper, but somehow filling the entire room. "I could have killed you Monday. I could have killed you Tuesday. I could have killed you Wednesday. I let you live long enough to walk through that door so you could see this moment, so you could understand exactly how badly you'd been played. He leaned closer. Sal could see his own reflection in Bumpy's eyes. Go back to Philadelphia. Go back to Vito Genovese. Tell him what happened here today. Tell him I knew about his plan before his soldiers bought their train tickets. Tell him I knew their names, knew where they were staying, knew what time they'd come for me. Tell him I let them walk into this barbershop anyway, because I wanted to send a message that would echo through every street, in every borough of this city. Bumpy paused. Let that sink in. Tell him I was never the one who was trapped. Bumpy's voice dropped even lower, into the range where words stop being words and become prophecy. You tell Vito Genovese that Harlem bleeds for no one. Not for him, not for his family, not for anyone.
These streets belong to me, not because I'm the most violent, not because I'm the most ruthless, but because I'm the smartest, because I see everything, know everything. And when someone threatens me, I don't react. I let them come close enough to think they've won, and then I teach them why they never had a chance. Tears were running freely down Sal's face now, snot running from his nose, the complete breakdown of a man who thought he was a professional killer and discovered he was just another victim waiting to happen. One more thing, Sal. Sal couldn't even speak, just stood there shaking. If anyone from the Genovese family, if anyone from any family, if anyone from anywhere sets foot in my neighborhood again with bad intentions, I won't give a warning. I won't send a message. I won't let them walk away to tell stories. Bumpy's eyes went dead. Empty. The eyes of a man who'd killed before and would kill again without hesitation or regret. I'll just send bodies. Do we understand each other? Sal nodded. Couldn't speak. Could barely breathe. Then walk. Don't run. Walking shows respect. Running shows guilt. And right now, the only thing keeping you alive is my respect for the code. Walk out that door. Get on a train. Go home. And never come back. Sal Carbone walked. His legs barely held him, his whole body shaking like he had palsy. He walked out the front door into the afternoon sunlight that suddenly seemed too bright, too real, too impossible after what had just happened. Behind him, Willie Thompson stood up, started sweeping glass. Marcus Freeman and Raymond Tucker slowly got to their feet, checking themselves for wounds, unable to believe they'd just survived. Dominic Carbone stopped making sounds. In the alley, Marco Carbone bled out before the ambulance arrived, died alone on dirty concrete, probably trying to understand how a simple hit had become his last day on Earth. And Bumpy Johnson sat back down in the barber chair, like nothing had happened.
Finish my shave, Willie, he said. Willie Thompson picked up his straight razor. His hands weren't shaking, not even a little. He finished the shave.
The story of the barbershop isn't just about violence. It's not just another gangster tale about bullets and bodies. It's about something deeper, something that most men spend their entire lives never understanding. True power isn't about what you can do to your enemies. It's about what your enemies believe you can do. It's about being so far ahead that they can't even see the moves you're making. It's about turning their ambush into your statement. The Carbone brothers walked into that barbershop thinking they had every advantage. Numbers, 3-1. Weapons, 3 guns to none. Position, standing over a man in a chair. Surprise, he didn't know they were coming. They were wrong about all of it. Bumpy had more guns in that room than they did. His were just hidden better. He had more men. They were just positioned smarter. And surprise, Bumpy had known about them for days, had studied them, had let them think they were hunting him while he was setting the trap. That's the difference between a gangster and a mastermind. A gangster reacts. A mastermind creates the conditions where his enemy's victory is actually his defeat. And here's the most important part. Bumpy could have killed those 3 men quietly, could have made them disappear on Monday, could have saved himself the risk, the theatrics, the public nature of it all. But that wouldn't have sent the message. That wouldn't have ended the threat permanently. Kill 3 Italians quietly, and 3 more show up next month. Kill 3 Italians publicly, loudly, impossibly.
Kill them in a way that gets told and retold until it becomes legend and nobody ever tries again. Because now it's not just about whether you can kill Bumpy Johnson. It's about whether you can outsmart him, whether you can surprise him, whether you can be 3 moves ahead of a man who's always 3 moves ahead of everyone else. And the answer, as Sal Carbone learned while crying in a barber shop surrounded by his brother's blood, is no.
You can't. Nobody can. That's not just power. That's mastery. If this story got your attention, if you made it this far, hit that subscribe button right now. We're dropping these real stories every single week. Not the sanitized versions, not the Hollywood versions. The truth about how power actually works, how respect is actually earned, how legends are actually made. Drop a like if you understand why Willie Thompson was the real hero of the story. An old man who trusted Bumpy enough to stand there with a straight razor while 3 killers walked in. That's loyalty. That's respect. That's the kind of bond that can't be bought or threatened into existence. And let me know in the comments, would you have let Sal Carbone live? Would you have sent him back with the message, or would you have ended all 3 of them right there? Because that choice, that decision to let one survive to tell the story, that's what separates the people who win from the people who just survive. Next week, we're telling the story of how Bumpy Johnson walked unarmed into a room with Lucky Luciano and walked out with control of Harlem. No weapons, no backup, just intelligence, courage, and the ability to see 3 moves ahead. You don't want to miss that one. Remember, in Harlem, respect isn't given, it's earned. And Bumpy Johnson didn't just earn it, he wrote the rule book on how it's done. Welcome to the real history, the uncomfortable history, the history they don't teach because it explains too much about how the world actually works. See you next week.